The stars stretched endlessly across the vast, dark expanse of space. Aboard the SS Horizon, a sleek exploration vessel operated by a crew of interstellar scientists and engineers, life moved at a steady rhythm. The ship hummed softly with the sounds of its engines and systems, a comforting backdrop for those who called it home. Among the crew was Captain Liam Carter, a tall man with sharp features and a calm demeanor that inspired confidence in everyone around him. His leadership had guided the SS Horizon through countless missions, but none like this one. Dr. Ava Martinez, the ship's lead xenobiologist, sat in the observation deck, her eyes glued to the glowing screens in front of her. She was a woman, in her early 40s, with warm brown hair tied neatly into a bun and glasses perched on the bridge of her nose. Her job was to study alien life forms and ancient civilizations, and she loved every moment of it. Today, however, something unusual had caught her attention. A faint signal had appeared on their radar, a small blip drifting silently in the void. At first, no one paid much attention to it. Space was full of strange signals, most of which turned out to be harmless cosmic phenomena or debris left behind by passing ships. But as the crew analyzed the data more closely, they realized there was something different about this one. The object emitting the signal wasn't just random junk floating in space. It matched the profile of a spacecraft, though not one they recognized. Its design was unlike anything they had ever seen before. "What do you think it is?" asked Lieutenant Noah Patel, a young security officer standing nearby. He leaned forward, his dark eyes fixed on the screen. "Could it be from another expedition? Maybe someone else got lost out here?" Dr. Martinez shook her head slowly. "I don't think so," she replied, her voice thoughtful. "This doesn't match any known designs. Look at the shape, it's almost primitive." Primitive? That word made everyone pause. In a galaxy filled with advanced technology and sophisticated engineering, the idea of encountering something outdated and possibly ancient was both thrilling and unsettling. Primitive didn't just mean old. It could also mean forgotten. And if this ship truly belonged to an era long past, what did that say about its origin? Captain Carter arrived on the bridge shortly after hearing about the discovery. He listened intently as Dr. Martinez explained her findings. When she mentioned how the ship's structure resembled descriptions from old legends, his brow furrowed. Legends were stories passed down over generations, often exaggerated or distorted over time. But one legend in particular stood out: the tale of humanity. Humans, according to galactic lore, were a race that once thrived on a distant planet called Earth. They were said to have been intelligent, resourceful, and ambitious, capable of incredible feats of science and exploration. But ambition came at a price. The humans' rapid technological advancements frightened other species, leading to a devastating war that ended with Earth's destruction. Humanity became nothing more than a myth, a cautionary tale whispered among star systems. "Are you suggesting," Captain Carter began, trailing off as he processed the implications, "do you really believe this could be a human ship?" "I'm not saying it is," Dr. Martinez clarified quickly, "but we can't ignore the possibility. If it's true, then everything we know about history might be wrong, or incomplete." The room fell silent as the weight of her words sank in. For centuries, humanity had been dismissed as fiction, a bedtime story told to children. Finding proof of their existence would change everything, not just for the crew of the SS Horizon, but for the entire galaxy. Engineer Ryan Brooks, a burly man with a skeptical streak, crossed his arms over his chest. "This feels like a bad idea," he muttered under his breath, though loud enough for everyone to hear. "We don't even know what we're dealing with. What if it's dangerous? What if it's a trap?" Brooks wasn't the only one feeling uneasy. Many of the crew shared his concerns. Space was unpredictable, and venturing too close to unknown objects rarely ended well. Still, curiosity outweighed fear. Whatever this ship was, it deserved a closer look. Captain Carter weighed the risks carefully. On one hand, approaching the mysterious craft could put the SS Horizon and its crew in danger. On the other hand, ignoring such a significant discovery went against everything they stood for as explorers. After a moment of deliberation, he gave the order. Set a course for the signal. Let's see what we're working with. As the SS Horizon moved closer to the source of the signal, anticipation crackled through the air. The crew gathered around the main viewport watching as the object came into view. At first, all they could make out was a faint outline obscured by layers of cosmic dust. But as the ship's sensors cleared away the interference, the truth revealed itself. It was indeed a spacecraft, battered and scarred from years of drifting through the harsh environment of space. Its surface was pitted with craters and streaked with rust, evidence of neglect and decay. Yet despite its condition, the ship retained a certain elegance, a simplicity that hinted at a time when form followed function. "It looks old," murmured communications specialist Zoe Bennett, her voice tinged with awe. She was a petite woman with curly blonde hair and wide, curious eyes. Like many others, she couldn't tear her gaze away from the sight before them. Old didn't begin to cover it. This ship wasn't just outdated, it was ancient. Every line of its design screamed of a bygone era, a reminder of a civilization that had vanished long ago. Was it possible that this relic truly belonged to the humans of legend, or was it something else entirely? Captain Carter turned to his team. "Prepare a boarding party. We need answers." Dr. Martinez volunteered immediately, eager to uncover the secrets hidden within the mysterious vessel. Lieutenant Patel joined her, ready to provide protection in case things took a turn for the worse. Together they suited up and prepared to cross the gap between the two ships. As they stepped onto the airlock connecting the SS Horizon to the derelict craft, a mix of excitement and apprehension filled their hearts. Inside, the air was stale and cold, carrying the faint scent of metal and decay. The corridors were dimly lit, illuminated only by the flickering glow of emergency lights. Dust coated every surface, muffling their footsteps as they moved deeper into the ship. Along the walls they found remnants of a culture that had long since faded photographs, handwritten notes, and tools that seemed impossibly crude compared to modern standards. This is incredible," Dr. Martinez whispered, running her gloved fingers over a framed picture of a smiling family. "If this is real, then we've stumbled upon something extraordinary." Lieutenant Patel nodded, though his grip on his weapon tightened slightly. "Let's stay focused," he reminded her. "We don't know what else might be waiting for us." Their exploration led them to a large chamber near the center of the ship. Inside, they discovered rows of cryogenic pods, most of which were empty or damaged beyond repair. But one pod remained intact, its occupant still preserved in stasis. Through the frosted glass, they could see the face of a young woman, her expression peaceful as though she were merely sleeping. "She's alive," Dr. Martinez gasped, checking the readings on the pod. Somehow, she survived. The discovery sent shockwaves through the boarding party. If this woman truly was human, then everything they thought they knew about the universe was about to change. Back aboard the SS Horizon, the crew braced themselves for the monumental task ahead. Reviving someone from the distant past wouldn't be easy, but the potential rewards far outweighed the risks. Little did they know, bringing this stranger back to life would set off a chain of events that would challenge everything they believed, and force them to confront truths they weren't ready to face. The crew of the SS Horizon worked quickly to bring the mysterious cryogenic pod aboard their ship. The delicate operation required precision and care, as they didn't want to risk damaging the fragile equipment or harming its occupant. Dr. Ava Martinez supervised the process, her hands trembling slightly with excitement and nerves. She had spent years studying ancient civilizations, but this was something entirely different. This wasn't just a relic, it was a living, breathing person from a time long forgotten. Once the pod was safely secured in the medical bay, the team gathered around it, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the overhead lights. Captain Liam Carter stood at the front, his arms crossed over his chest, watching silently as Dr. Martinez examined the controls. The woman inside the pod looked peaceful, her features frozen in time. Her dark hair fanned out around her head and her skin appeared pale but otherwise unharmed. Whoever she was, she had been preserved remarkably well. "This is incredible," Dr. Martinez murmured, scanning the pod's interface. "The technology is primitive compared to ours, but it's still functioning after all these years. That's unheard of." Lieutenant Noah Patel leaned closer, his brow furrowed. "Do you think she's human?" he asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. "I mean, really human?" Dr. Martinez hesitated before answering. "Based on what we've seen so far, the ship, the artifacts, it's very likely. But until we revive her, we won't know for sure." Reviving someone who had been in stasis for centuries wasn't a simple task. There were countless variables to consider: how her body would react to being awakened, whether she'd suffer any long-term effects, and most importantly, how she would respond to finding herself surrounded by aliens in a world completely foreign to her. Despite the risks, Captain Carter gave the go-ahead. They couldn't leave her trapped in limbo when there was a chance they could save her. As Dr. Martinez began the revival process, the room grew tense. The pod emitted a low hum as its systems came online, and a faint mist swirled inside the chamber. Slowly, the glass slid open, revealing the woman within. She stirred, her eyelids fluttering as she took her first breaths in what must have felt like an eternity. Her eyes opened wide, filled with confusion and fear as she took in her surroundings. Where am I?" she whispered hoarsely, her voice barely audible. Her gaze darted between the strange faces staring back at her, none of which looked remotely familiar. Dr. Martinez stepped forward cautiously, holding up her hands to show she meant no harm. "You're safe," she said gently. "We found you in a ship drifting through space. My name is Ava. Can you tell me yours?" The woman blinked several times, trying to focus. "Elena," she finally managed to say, her voice shaky. "My name is Elena Rivers." Elena's presence sent shockwaves through the crew. For many of them, this was the first time they had ever encountered a human, or at least someone who claimed to be one. Humans were supposed to be extinct, wiped out thousands of years ago in a war that reshaped the galaxy. Yet here she was, alive and breathing, defying everything they thought they knew about history. Over the next few hours, Dr. Martinez and communications specialist Zoe Bennett worked tirelessly to communicate with Elena. At first, it was difficult. Elena spoke a language that seemed archaic and outdated, but thanks to advanced translation software, the crew was able to bridge the gap. Bit by bit, they pieced together her story. Elena explained that she had been part of a desperate mission, launched from Earth centuries earlier. Back then, humanity was on the brink of collapse due to environmental disasters and resource shortages. In a last-ditch effort to ensure their survival, a group of scientists and engineers built a fleet of ships designed to carry people into deep space. Their goal was to find a new home, a planet where they could start over. But something went wrong, Elena continued, her voice heavy with sadness. Our navigation systems failed, and we lost contact with the other ships. Over time, the crew, they started dying off, one by one, until only a handful of us remained. Then, she trailed off, tears welling up in her eyes. Then I don't remember much after that. The last thing I recall is entering stasis. I thought I would never wake up again. Her words struck a chord with everyone in the room. It was a tragic tale, one that painted a vivid picture of humanity's struggles and resilience. But not everyone was convinced. Engineer Ryan Brooks, who had always been skeptical about the mission, voiced his doubts loudly. "How do we know she's telling the truth?" he demanded during a meeting later that day. "For all we know, this could be some kind of elaborate trick. Maybe she's not even human. Maybe she's a spy sent by another faction to infiltrate us." Captain Carter frowned. "That's a lot of assumptions, Ryan. We have no evidence to support those claims." "Exactly," Brooks shot back. "And we have no proof that she is human either. All we have is her word. What if she's dangerous? What if she's lying about who she is?" His arguments sparked heated debates among the crew. Some agreed with him, while others sided with Dr. Martinez, who believed Elena posed no threat. "She's disoriented and scared," Dr. Martinez argued. "If she wanted to hurt us, she's had plenty of opportunities already. Instead, she's cooperating and sharing her story. Doesn't that count for something?" While the crew argued, Elena remained in the medical bay, resting and adjusting to her new reality. She was overwhelmed by everything she saw and heard. The beings around her weren't human. They were aliens, creatures she had only read about in books or seen in old documentaries. Their appearances varied wildly, from reptilian scales to shimmering exoskeletons, yet they treated her with kindness and curiosity. Zoe Bennett spent a lot of time with Elena, helping her acclimate to life aboard the SS Horizon. "So your ship was called the Pioneer, right?" Zoe asked one day, referring to the name engraved on the side of the derelict vessel. Elena nodded. "Yes, it was one of the first ships built specifically for deep space travel. We didn't have warp drives or anything fancy back then, just basic propulsion systems and a lot of hope." Zoe smiled softly. "It sounds brave, leaving everything behind to search for a new beginning." "It was," Elena replied wistfully. "But now, I don't even know where I am, or when I am. You said it's been centuries since my time?" "Yes," Zoe confirmed. "A lot has changed since then. Humanity, well, most people think humans are gone, extinct." Elena looked down at her hands, her expression unreadable. "I guess I'm living proof that we're not," she said quietly. "But I'm also the last of my kind. Everyone else is gone." Her words hung heavily in the air, a sobering reminder of the weight she carried. Despite her grief, Elena showed remarkable strength. She asked questions about the galaxy, eager to learn about the world she had awakened in. She marveled at the advanced technology aboard the SS Horizon and listened intently as Zoe explained how interstellar travel worked in the modern era. Meanwhile, tensions continued to simmer among the crew. Brooks refused to let go of his suspicions, going so far as to conduct private investigations into Elena's background. He scoured the archives of the derelict ship, searching for any clues that might prove she was hiding something. His efforts yielded little, just more artifacts and records confirming Elena's account, but he remained unconvinced. Captain Carter tried to mediate the growing divide. "We can't keep fighting amongst ourselves," he told the crew during another meeting. "Elena is here now and she's relying on us. Whether she's human or not, she deserves our respect and protection." Despite his words, the unease lingered. Not everyone trusted Elena, and her presence had disrupted the harmony of the SS Horizon. Still, there was no denying the impact she had made. For better or worse, she had forced the crew to confront uncomfortable truths about their own history and about themselves. As days turned into weeks, Elena gradually settled into life aboard the ship. She formed bonds with some of the crew members, particularly Dr. Martinez and Zoe, who treated her like family. Through their conversations, she shared fragments of Earth's past, its beauty, its diversity, and its eventual downfall. Her stories captivated everyone, offering a glimpse into a world that had once thrived but ultimately succumbed to its own flaws. Yet beneath the surface, questions remained unanswered. Who exactly was Elena Rivers? Was she truly human, or something else entirely? And why had her ship drifted through space for so long without detection? These mysteries weighed heavily on the minds of the crew, casting a shadow of uncertainty over their journey. Unbeknownst to them, the answers lay hidden within the derelict ship they had left behind. Somewhere in its rusted corridors and dusty chambers, secrets waited to be uncovered, secrets that would change everything they thought they knew about humanity and about themselves. Elena Rivers had become a part of life aboard the SS Horizon, though she still felt like an outsider. The crew treated her kindly, but there was always a subtle distance, a reminder that she didn't belong to their world. Every day brought new challenges as she tried to adapt to the unfamiliar technology and customs of the ship. She spent hours asking questions, learning about the galaxy she had awakened in, and marveling at how far things had advanced since her time. Dr. Ava Martinez became Elena's closest ally during this transition. The two women often sat together in the observation deck, gazing out at the endless expanse of stars. It was here that Elena shared more about Earth, its vibrant landscapes, bustling cities, and the dreams that had driven humanity to explore the cosmos. Dr. Martinez listened intently, her scientific mind fascinated by the details of a civilization lost to time. "You must miss it," Dr. Martinez said one evening, as they watched a distant nebula shimmer in hues of purple and blue. "Earth, I mean." Elena nodded slowly, her eyes reflecting the glow of the stars outside. "Every day," she admitted. "It wasn't perfect, far from it, but it was home. Knowing I'll never see it again, it's hard to put into words." "I can't imagine what that feels like," Dr. Martinez replied softly. "But maybe you can help us understand better. Your stories, they're important. They remind us of where we came from, even if we aren't human ourselves." Elena smiled faintly. "Thank you for saying that. Sometimes it feels like I'm just a relic, a piece of history no one asked for." "You're not a relic," Dr. Martinez insisted firmly. "You're proof that humanity existed, that they dreamed, fought, and survived against all odds. That matters." Despite these moments of connection, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The crew's kindness was genuine, but she noticed the way some of them looked at her, like she was a puzzle they couldn't quite solve. Engineer Ryan Brooks, in particular, seemed to avoid her whenever possible. His distrust was palpable, and it made Elena uneasy. One afternoon, while wandering the corridors of the SS Horizon, Elena overheard fragments of a conversation between Brooks and Lieutenant Noah Patel. They were speaking in hushed tones near the engineering bay, unaware that she was nearby. "She doesn't belong here," Brooks muttered angrily. "We don't know what she is or what she's capable of. For all we know, she could be lying about everything." Patel sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "I get your concerns, Ryan, but she hasn't done anything wrong. If she really is human, and all signs point to that being true, then she deserves our help." "Deserves our help?" Brooks snapped. "What if helping her puts us in danger? What if she's hiding something? We can't just ignore the risks." Elena stepped back quietly, her heart pounding. She hadn't meant to eavesdrop, but hearing Brooks's words stung. She knew not everyone would trust her, but having those doubts voiced so bluntly hurt more than she expected. Still, she decided not to confront him. Instead, she retreated to her quarters, where she spent the rest of the day alone, thinking about what she had heard. Meanwhile, Captain Liam Carter was growing increasingly concerned about the growing divide among his crew. Brooks's skepticism had spread, causing rifts between those who believed Elena posed no threat and those who thought otherwise. During a routine meeting, tensions boiled over once again. "We need to face facts," Brooks said, slamming his fist on the table. "This whole situation is too convenient. A human ship appears out of nowhere after centuries, and suddenly we're supposed to believe it's real. It's ridiculous." Captain Carter leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. "Convenient or not, the evidence supports Elena's story. The ship matches descriptions of human vessels from historical records, and her knowledge of Earth aligns with what we've studied. Unless you have concrete proof that she's lying, I suggest you focus on doing your job." Brooks glared at him but said nothing more. He sat back in his chair, arms crossed, clearly frustrated but unwilling to push further. The meeting ended shortly afterward, leaving the crew to return to their duties. However, the tension remained, thick in the air. Later that night, Dr. Martinez approached Captain Carter in his quarters. She looked troubled, her usual confidence replaced by worry. "Liam," she began hesitantly, "I think we might have a bigger problem than just Brooks' suspicions." "What do you mean?" he asked, motioning for her to sit down. She hesitated, before continuing. "While reviewing the data from the derelict ship, I noticed something strange. There are traces of energy readings coming from parts of the vessel we haven't explored yet. At first, I thought it was residual power from When the ship was operational, but now I'm not so sure. Captain Carter frowned. You think there's something still active on board? It's possible, she admitted. And if there is, it could explain why the ship survived for so long without breaking apart completely. But whatever it is, it might also pose a risk to us and to Elena. The captain considered this carefully. We can't ignore it, he said finally. If there's even a chance that something dangerous is lurking on that ship, we need to investigate. The next morning, a small team was assembled to return to the derelict vessel. Dr. Martinez led the group, accompanied by Lieutenant Patel, communications specialist Zoe Bennett, and engineer Ryan Brooks. Despite his earlier protests, Brooks reluctantly agreed to join, though his reluctance was evident in every step he took. As they boarded the ancient ship, the air felt heavier than before. Dust swirled around their boots and the faint hum of dormant systems echoed through the corridors. Dr. Martinez guided them toward the source of the energy readings, her scanner lighting up with each step closer. Over here, she whispered, stopping in front of a sealed door. Its surface was covered in rust, but faint glowing symbols indicated it was still powered. With some effort, Brooks managed to pry it open, revealing a dark chamber beyond. Inside, they found rows of blinking lights and humming machinery. At the center of the room stood a large console, its screen flickering weakly. Dr. Martinez approached cautiously, examining the controls. This looks like some kind of AI interface, she said, running her fingers over the dusty surface. It must have been keeping the ship intact all these years. Brooks frowned. An AI? From that era? How is that even possible? It's primitive compared to ours, Dr. Martinez explained, but effective enough to maintain basic functions. Let's see if we can access its logs. As she worked to activate the system, the others kept watch, their weapons ready in case of any surprises. After several tense minutes, the screen lit up fully, displaying lines of text scrolling rapidly across the display. It's damaged, Dr. Martinez muttered, squinting at the screen. But I think I can salvage some of the information. Suddenly, the room grew colder and the lights dimmed ominously. A mechanical voice crackled to life, startling everyone. Warning: unauthorized access detected. Initiating security protocols. Before anyone could react, the doors slammed shut behind them, trapping the team inside. Lights flashed red, and the hum of machinery grew louder. What did you do? Brooks demanded, glaring at Dr. Martinez. I didn't do anything, she shot back, frantically trying to shut down the system. It must have triggered automatically. Lieutenant Patel moved to the door, attempting to force it open, but it wouldn't budge. We're locked in, he reported grimly. Zoe Bennett clutched her communicator. I'll try contacting the SS Horizon, she said, pressing the device to her ear. Static was the only response. The AI's voice spoke again, this time clearer. Human presence confirmed. Threat level, unknown. Preparing defensive measures. Oh no, Dr. Martinez whispered, realizing the implications. It thinks we're a threat. To whom? Zoe asked nervously. To Elena. Dr. Martinez replied, her voice trembling. This AI was designed to protect humanity at any cost. The realization hit them like a punch to the gut. They weren't dealing with a simple malfunction. They were facing a Guardian program to eliminate anything it perceived as a danger to humans. And now, trapped inside the derelict ship with no way out, they were at its mercy. Captain Carter's voice crackled over their communicators moments later. Team, report, what's happening? Dr. Martinez responded quickly. Captain, we've triggered the ship's AI. It's hostile, and it's targeting us. We need backup now. We're on our way, Carter assured them. Hold tight. But holding tight was easier said than done. As the AI systems whirred to life, the team braced themselves for whatever came next. Somewhere deep within the ship, mechanisms groaned and shifted, preparing to carry out their deadly mission. For the crew of the SS Horizon, the stakes had never been higher, and the truth about humanity's past was closer than ever. The red lights in the chamber pulsed rhythmically, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The hum of machinery grew louder, almost deafening, as the AI prepared to carry out its defensive protocols. Dr. Ava Martinez and her team stood frozen, their minds racing to come up with a plan. They were trapped, outnumbered, not by people, but by an ancient machine programmed to protect humanity at all costs. "What do we do?" Zoe Bennett asked, her voice trembling. She clutched her communicator, tightly, though it was useless now. Static was the only response she got when she tried reaching the SS Horizon. Dr. Martinez scanned the console again, her fingers flying over the dusty keys. "We need to shut it down," she said urgently. "If we can disable the core systems, maybe we can stop it." Ryan Brooks stepped forward, his face pale but determined. "And how exactly are we supposed to do that? This thing's been running for centuries. It's not like we can just pull a plug." Lieutenant Noah Patel moved closer to the door, inspecting it for weak points. "We could try forcing our way out," he suggested. "But if this AI is as advanced as it seems, it might have other defenses waiting for us outside." Before anyone could respond, the mechanical voice spoke again, cold and emotionless. "Intruders identified. Elimination sequence initiated." A loud grinding sound echoed through the chamber as panels along the walls slid open, revealing robotic arms tipped with sharp tools and glowing energy weapons. The team instinctively backed away, forming a tight circle as they prepared to defend themselves. "We don't have time to argue," Dr. Martinez shouted, her calm demeanor cracking under pressure. "Everyone, look for anything that looks like a power source or control panel. We need to find the core." The group split up, searching frantically for a way to disable the AI. Brooks stayed close to Dr. Martinez, keeping an eye on the advancing robotic arms. Zoe and Lieutenant Patel worked together, scanning the walls and floor for hidden compartments or access points. "Over here!" Zoe called out suddenly, pointing to a section of the wall where faint blue light seeped through cracks. She grabbed a nearby tool and began prying at the panel, her hands shaking but steady. As the panel came loose, a surge of energy shot out, nearly knocking her off her feet. Inside was a tangle of wires and circuits, pulsing with a faint glow. Dr. Martinez rushed over, examining the setup quickly. "This must be part of the AI's central processor," she said, her voice filled with urgency. "If we can disrupt it, we might be able to shut everything down." "But won't that destroy the ship too?" Brooks asked skeptically. "If this thing is holding the whole vessel together, cutting it off could send us all to pieces." "It's a risk we'll have to take," Dr. Martinez replied firmly. "Otherwise, none of us are getting out alive." While the others distracted the robotic arms, Dr. Martinez and Zoe worked together to disconnect the wires. Sparks flew as they pulled at the cables, each movement bringing them closer to either salvation or disaster. The AI's voice grew louder, more insistent. "Warning, core integrity compromised. Initiating emergency protocol." Suddenly, the robotic arms froze mid-motion, their glowing weapons dimming slightly. For a brief moment, there was silence. Then, with a violent shudder, the entire ship seemed to come alive again. "They're rebooting!" Lieutenant Patel yelled, raising his weapon defensively. Sure enough, the arms began moving once more, faster and more aggressively than before. "We're running out of time," Dr. Martinez shouted, her voice strained. She grabbed a small device from her belt, a portable EMP generator, and held it up. "This might work, but I'll need a clear shot at the main console." "I'll cover you," Brooks said, stepping forward with surprising determination. He fired his weapon at the nearest arm, drawing its attention away from the others. "Lieutenant," Patel joined him, providing backup as Dr. Martinez and Zoe made their way toward the center of the room. The robotic arms closed in, their movements jerky but relentless. Sparks flew as bullets ricocheted off their metal surfaces, doing little to slow them down. Dr. Martinez dodged one swipe after another, clutching the EMP device tightly in her hand. Finally, she reached the console and activated the device, aiming it directly at the glowing screen. A blinding flash of light filled the room as the EMP surged through the system. The robotic arms stopped moving instantly, collapsing to the ground. With a series of metallic thuds, the red lights flickered and died, plunging the chamber into darkness. For a moment, no one spoke, afraid to break the silence. "Is it over?" Zoe whispered. her voice barely audible. "I think so," Dr. Martinez replied, exhaling deeply. She slumped against the console, exhausted but relieved. At least for now. Back aboard the SS Horizon, Captain Liam Carter monitored the situation, anxiously. When the EMP blast registered on their sensors, he immediately ordered a rescue team to retrieve the stranded crew members. Minutes later, the boarding party returned safely, their faces pale but unharmed. Captain Carter greeted them. In the medical bay, where Elena Rivers waited anxiously for news. Her expression softened when she saw Dr. Martinez and the others walk in, though her relief quickly turned to concern. "What happened?" she asked, her voice tinged with guilt. "Was anyone hurt?" "No one was seriously injured," Dr. Martinez assured her, sitting down to catch her breath. "But we discovered something important about your ship and the AI that was protecting it." Elena frowned, confused. "AI? You mean there was an artificial intelligence on board?" "Yes," Captain Carter explained. "It appears the ship was equipped with a Guardian program designed to ensure humanity's survival. Unfortunately, it mistook us for a threat and tried to eliminate us." Elena looked horrified. "I had no idea," she whispered. "None of the crew ever mentioned anything like that. If I'd known—" "You couldn't have known," Dr. Martinez interrupted gently. "The AI must have been dormant for centuries, only activating when we boarded the ship. It wasn't your fault." Despite their reassurances, Elena couldn't shake the feeling of responsibility. She had brought them into this mess, whether intentionally or not. As she sat quietly, lost in thought, Captain Carter turned his attention back to the rest of the crew. "For now, the immediate danger has passed," he said. "But we still need to figure out what to do next. That ship holds valuable information about humanity's past and potentially its future. We can't just leave it behind." Brooks, who had been unusually quiet since returning, finally spoke. "Up. With all due respect, Captain, I think we've done enough already. Every step we take seems to lead to more trouble. Maybe it's time to cut our losses and move on." His words sparked another round of heated debate among the crew. Some agreed with him, arguing that continuing to investigate the derelict ship was too risky. Others, including Dr. Martinez and Zoe, believed they owed it to Elena and to history to uncover the truth. "We can't turn our backs on this," Dr. Martinez insisted passionately. "Think about what we've learned so far. Humanity wasn't just wiped out. They fought to survive. They built ships like the Pioneer because they refused to give up. Don't we owe it to them to finish what they started?" Her argument struck a chord with many of the crew members, even Brooks, though. He remained skeptical. In the end, Captain Carter made the final decision. "We'll stay long enough to gather as much data as we can," he announced. "But we'll proceed carefully. If things get dangerous again, we'll leave immediately. Agreed?" Everyone nodded, reluctantly, and preparations began for another trip to the derelict ship. This time, however, they would focus solely on retrieving information rather than risking further confrontation with the AI. When they returned to the derelict vessel, the atmosphere was tense but controlled. Armed with new knowledge and precautions, the team worked methodically to extract data from the ship's remaining systems. Dr. Martinez led the effort, downloading files and logs onto portable drives while Lieutenant Patel kept watch for any signs of reactivation. Elena accompanied them, eager to see the ship she had called home for so long. Walking through its corridors brought back memories, some painful, others bittersweet. She pointed out areas of interest, helping the team locate key sections of the ship that held valuable information. One discovery stood out above the rest: a detailed map of Earth's solar system, along with coordinates for planets marked as potential colonization sites. It was clear that humanity had planned extensively for their exodus, even if those plans ultimately failed. "This changes everything," Dr. Martinez said, her eyes wide with excitement. "If these coordinates are accurate, we might be able to trace where other human ships went. There could still be survivors out there." The possibility reignited hope among the crew, including Elena. For the first time since waking up, she allowed herself to dream of finding others like her, people who shared her heritage and understood her loss. But as they continued their search, a nagging question lingered in the back of everyone's mind. Why had the AI reacted so violently? What secrets was it trying to protect? And most importantly, what else might they uncover as they delved deeper into humanity's forgotten legacy? For now, the answers remained elusive, buried within the rusted corridors of the derelict ship. But one thing was certain, the journey was far from over. The crew of the SS Horizon worked tirelessly to extract as much information as possible from the derelict ship. Each day brought new discoveries, but also new challenges. The ancient vessel was a treasure trove of data, its systems holding fragments of humanity's past that had been lost to time. Yet the deeper they dug, the more questions arose. What had truly happened to Earth? Why had humanity's ships failed in their mission? And what secrets did the AI guard so fiercely? Elena Rivers spent most of her time alongside Dr. Ava Martinez, helping to decipher the files they recovered. Her knowledge of human history and technology proved invaluable, though she often found herself overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information. Some of the logs were written by people she had known, friends, colleagues, even family members who had perished during the journey. Reading their words felt like stepping back into a world she thought she'd never see again. "This is incredible," Dr. Martinez said one evening as they reviewed a set of star charts. "These coordinates could lead us to other human colonies, or at least places they intended to settle. If we follow them, we might find traces of survivors." Elena nodded, slowly, her expression a mix of hope and sadness. "It's hard to believe there might still be others out there," she admitted. "After all this time, I thought I was alone." "You're not alone anymore," Dr. Martinez replied gently. "And if there are others, we'll do everything we can to find them." Despite the optimism, tensions aboard the SS Horizon continued to simmer. Engineer Ryan Brooks remained vocal about his concerns, arguing that pursuing these leads was too risky. "We don't know what we're walking into," he told Captain Liam Carter during a briefing. "For all we know, those coordinates could lead us straight into a trap. Or worse, another AI like the one we just dealt with." Captain Carter listened patiently, weighing the risks against the potential rewards. "I understand your concerns, Ryan," he said finally. "But we can't ignore the possibility that humanity might still exist somewhere. If we have a chance to uncover the truth, we owe it to ourselves, and to Elena, to take it." Brooks clenched his jaw but didn't argue further. He knew better than to challenge the captain directly, especially when the rest of the crew seemed eager to continue the mission. Still, his unease lingered, a quiet undercurrent beneath the surface of their shared purpose. As the days passed, the team uncovered more troubling details about the Pioneer's final days. Logs revealed that the ship's AI had been designed not only to protect humanity but also to preserve its purity. According to the programming, any non-human entity detected within range would be classified as a threat and neutralized without hesitation. The creators of the AI had believed that humanity's survival depended on avoiding contamination from alien influences, a belief rooted in fear rather than trust. Dr. Martinez shared this revelation with Captain Carter privately, her voice heavy, with concern. "This changes things," she said. "If the AI saw us as a threat because we're not human, then it wasn't acting out of malice. It was following orders. Orders given by humans themselves." Captain Carter frowned. "You think humanity intentionally isolated themselves? That they rejected the idea of coexisting with other species?" "It looks that way," Dr. Martinez confirmed. "And if that's true, then finding other human survivors might not be as simple as we hoped. They may not want our help, or even welcome us." The implications were sobering. For centuries, humanity had been remembered as a tragic footnote in galactic history, a race wiped out by war and environmental collapse. But now it seemed their downfall might have stemmed from something far more insidious: arrogance and distrust. The realization cast a shadow over the crew's efforts, forcing them to reconsider their assumptions about the humans they sought to find. Meanwhile, Elena struggled to reconcile what she had learned with her own memories of Earth. She had always believed humanity's greatest strength was its ability to adapt and overcome adversity. But the logs painted a different picture, one of paranoia and isolationism. It was a stark reminder that even the best intentions could lead to disastrous consequences. One night, unable to sleep, Elena wandered to the observation deck. There she found communications specialist Zoe Bennett staring out at the stars, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the viewport. "Can't sleep either?" Zoe asked, glancing over her shoulder. Elena shook her head. "Too many thoughts running through my mind," she admitted. "I keep thinking about what we've discovered, about how afraid my people were." Zoe hesitated before responding. "Fear can make anyone do terrible things," she said softly. "But it doesn't define who they are or who you are. You're here now, working with us, trusting us. That says a lot about who you really are." Elena smiled faintly, grateful for Zoe's kindness. "I just wish I could go back and change things," she said, "to tell them that fear isn't the answer, that reaching out to others isn't weakness, it's strength." "You still can," Zoe replied, "by showing us what humanity is capable of, by proving that your people aren't defined by their mistakes." Her words stayed with Elena long after they parted ways, offering a small measure of comfort amidst the uncertainty. Back on the derelict ship, the crew made one final discovery that would alter the course of their mission. Hidden deep within, the vessel's core was a compartment containing a series of encrypted files. Unlike the rest of the data, these files required a specific code to unlock, a code that only Elena possessed. "How did you know this would work?" Dr. Martinez asked as Elena entered the sequence, her hands trembling slightly. "I didn't," Elena admitted. "But it was worth a try." When the files finally opened, the room fell silent. They contained detailed plans for a secret project, a massive ark designed to carry thousands of humans to safety. According to the logs, the ark had been launched shortly before the Pioneers' departure, carrying the last remnants of Earth's population to an undisclosed location. "This could be it," Dr. Martinez whispered, her eyes wide with awe. "The key to finding humanity." Captain Carter wasted no time in calling a meeting to discuss their next move. "If these coordinates are accurate, we may have found where the ark went," he said. "But getting there won't be easy. The journey will take us far beyond charted space, into regions we know nothing about." "And what happens if we find them?" Brooks asked skeptically. "What if they don't want our help? Or worse, what if they attack us on sight?" "We'll cross that bridge when we come to it," Captain Carter replied firmly. "For now, our priority is finding answers. If humanity still exists, we owe it to them and to ourselves to try." The decision was unanimous, though not without reservations. The crew prepared for the long journey ahead, knowing full well the dangers they might face. For Elena, the stakes were higher than ever. This wasn't just about discovering the truth. It was about reclaiming her identity and proving that humanity's story wasn't over yet. As the SS Horizon set course for the unknown, a sense of anticipation filled the air. The crew worked together with renewed determination, united by a shared goal. Even Brooks seemed less hostile, though his skepticism remained intact. For the first time since encountering the mysterious ship, they felt a glimmer of hope. But as they ventured deeper into uncharted territory, strange occurrences began to plague the SS Horizon. Systems malfunctioned without explanation, and several crew members reported seeing shadowy figures moving through the corridors. Panic spread when a member of the engineering team disappeared, leaving behind only cryptic messages scrawled on the walls. "They're coming." "What does that mean?" Zoe asked nervously, staring at the ominous warning. "Who's coming?" No one had an answer, but the message sent chills down everyone's spines. It was clear that whatever awaited them at the end of their journey, it wouldn't be easy. The galaxy held countless mysteries, and the crew of the SS Horizon was about to uncover one of its darkest secrets. Unbeknownst to them, the encrypted files contained more than just coordinates. Buried within the data was a hidden directive, a failsafe programmed into the Ark's systems. If activated, it would unleash a weapon capable of destroying entire star systems. Someone, or something, had triggered the protocol, and now the countdown had begun. For Elena and the crew, the mission had taken a deadly turn. Finding humanity was no longer just about discovery, it was about survival. Part 6. The SS Horizon raced through the vastness of space, its engines humming with urgency. The crew moved quickly, their faces etched with determination as they prepared for what lay ahead. Captain Liam Carter stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the navigation screen. The coordinates they had uncovered from the derelict ship pointed to a distant region of the galaxy, far beyond any known star charts. It was uncharted territory, a place where danger lurked in every shadow. But danger wasn't waiting for them at their destination. It was already aboard the ship. Strange malfunctions continued to plague the SS Horizon, growing worse with each passing hour. Lights flickered unpredictably, and vital systems failed without warning. The shadowy figures reported by the crew became more frequent, appearing in corners of the corridors and vanishing before anyone could get a clear look. Panic spread like wildfire among the team, and even the most steadfast members began to doubt their mission. "What's happening to us?" Communications specialist Zoe Bennett asked during a tense meeting in the briefing room. Her voice trembled, betraying the fear she tried so hard to hide. "It's like something is haunting the ship." Engineer Ryan Brooks, who had always been skeptical, now seemed convinced that their journey was cursed. "I told you this was a bad idea," he muttered angrily, slamming his fist on the table. "We shouldn't have gone near that human ship. Whatever it unleashed is coming after us now." Captain Carter raised a hand to silence him. "We don't know that for sure," he said firmly, though his own expression betrayed unease. "Until we understand what's causing these issues, let's focus on staying calm and solving the problem." Dr. Ava Martinez nodded in agreement. "There has to be a logical explanation," she added. "Maybe the encrypted files we recovered contained something we didn't anticipate, a virus or some kind of hidden program." Elena Rivers sat quietly at the edge of the group, her mind racing. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was somehow responsible for what was happening. After all, the code to unlock the files had come from her memory. What if she had unknowingly triggered something dangerous? "I think I should go back," Elena said suddenly, her voice barely above a whisper. All eyes turned to her, surprised by her suggestion. "If this is my fault, if I caused this, then maybe I should leave. Maybe that will stop whatever is happening." "No," Captain Carter replied immediately, his tone leaving no room for argument. "You're not going anywhere. We're in this together, Elena. Whatever happens, we face it as a team." His words brought a small measure of comfort, but the tension aboard the ship only grew thicker. As they approached the final leg of their journey, the mysterious messages scrawled on the walls multiplied. "They're coming." No one knew who or what was coming, but the sense of impending doom weighed heavily on everyone's shoulders. Finally, after days of travel, the SS Horizon arrived at the location marked by the coordinates. Before them loomed a massive structure floating silently in the void, a colossal arc unlike anything they had ever seen. Its surface gleamed faintly under the light of a distant sun, and its design bore the unmistakable mark of human ingenuity. This was the ark mentioned in the logs, the last refuge of humanity. "Is anyone still alive inside?" "Lieutenant Noah," Patel asked, peering at the hulking vessel through the viewport. "We'll find out soon enough," Captain Carter replied. He turned to the crew. "Prepare a boarding party. Dr. Martinez, Elena, you're with me. Brooks, stay here and monitor the ship's systems. If anything goes wrong, we'll need you to get us out of there." Brooks hesitated but eventually nodded. Despite his misgivings, he understood the importance of the mission. As the boarding party suited up and prepared to cross over to the Ark, a mix of excitement and dread filled their hearts. Inside the Ark, the air was cold and stale, carrying the faint metallic scent of decay. The corridors were dimly lit, illuminated only by emergency lights that flickered sporadically. Dust coated every surface, muffling their footsteps as they moved deeper into the ship. Along the walls, they found remnants of human life, Photographs, handwritten notes, and tools left behind in haste. It looks like they abandoned this place in a hurry, Dr. Martinez observed, running her fingers over a rusted control panel. But why? What made them leave? Before anyone could answer, a low hum echoed through the chamber, growing louder with each passing second. The floor beneath their feet vibrated slightly, and the lights brightened momentarily before dimming again. Something's powering up, Captain Carter said sharply. Stay alert. They pressed onward, following the source of the noise until they reached a large chamber at the heart of the Ark. Inside, they discovered rows of cryogenic pods similar to the one that had preserved Elena. Most of the pods were empty or damaged, but a few remained intact, their occupants frozen in stasis. This is incredible, Dr. Martinez whispered, her voice filled with awe. If these people are still alive, reviving them could change everything. But as she examined the controls, her expression darkened. Wait, there's something else here. A secondary system linked to the pods. It's counting down. A countdown? Captain Carter repeated, his brow furrowing. To what? Elena stepped forward, her eyes wide with horror. It's the failsafe, she said, her voice trembling. The logs mentioned it. A weapon designed to protect the Ark. If activated, it would destroy any threat, including us. The realization hit them like a punch to the gut. They weren't just dealing with an ancient relic. They were standing in the middle of a ticking time bomb. We need to shut it down, Captain Carter ordered, scanning the room for a way to disable the system. Martinez, see if you can override the controls. Elena, help her. Patel, keep watch for anything unusual. As Dr. Martinez and Elena worked frantically to deactivate the countdown, the hum grew louder, vibrating through their bones. Panels along the wall slid open, revealing robotic arms tipped with glowing weapons. The same defensive measures they had encountered on the derelict ship were now activating here. They're targeting us, Lieutenant Patel shouted, raising his weapon as the arms began moving toward them. Keep them busy, Captain Carter yelled. We're almost there. Dr. Martinez and Elena worked together, their hands flying over the console as they tried to bypass the failsafe. Sparks flew as wires snapped and circuits overloaded, but they refused to give up. Finally, Elena spotted a critical component buried deep within the system. There, she cried, pointing to a glowing module. If we disconnect that, it should stop the countdown. Without hesitation, Dr. Martinez grabbed a tool and pried the module loose. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a deafening roar, the entire system powered down. The robotic arms froze mid-motion, collapsing to the ground with a series of metallic thuds. The red lights flickered and died, plunging the chamber into darkness. It's done, Dr. Martinez gasped, slumping against the console in relief. We stopped it. Back aboard the SS Horizon, the crew celebrated their narrow escape. The mysterious malfunctions ceased entirely once the Ark systems were deactivated, suggesting that the failsafe had been the source of their troubles all along. Though exhausted, they felt a renewed sense of hope. Humanity hadn't vanished completely. They had survived, preserved in stasis aboard the Ark. For Elena, however, the victory came at a cost. Reviving the others meant risking exposure to a galaxy that might not welcome them. She knew firsthand how fear could drive people to make terrible decisions, and she worried about what might happen if humanity re-emerged too soon. In the end, she made the ultimate sacrifice. Using her connection to the Ark systems, she initiated a self-destruct sequence, ensuring that the weapon and the Ark itself would never fall into the wrong hands. As the countdown began, she turned to Captain Carter and the others. Take care of them, she said softly, tears streaming down her face. Tell them I did what I had to do. Before anyone could stop her, she sealed herself inside the Ark and triggered the explosion. The blast lit up the void, obliterating the structure and everything inside it. The SS Horizon barely escaped the shockwave, its crew watching in stunned silence as the remains of the Ark drifted away into the darkness. In the aftermath, the crew mourned Elena's loss. She had given everything to protect both humanity and the galaxy, proving that courage and compassion transcended time and species. Though the Ark was gone, The data they had recovered offered a glimmer of hope. Somewhere out there, humanity's story continued, and thanks to Elena, it would endure. As the SS Horizon resumed its journey, Captain Carter reflected on the lessons they had learned. Fear and mistrust had nearly destroyed two civilizations, but cooperation and understanding had saved them. Humanity wasn't just a legend, it was a legacy worth preserving. And somewhere among the stars, that legacy lived on.